Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is your girl, Coach Tanya, and I want to welcome you today for joining me for this particular video. It is a part of the 5 video series for the Trauma Recovery Room titled Narcissistic Love 101. This is actually one of the parts of the actual series, and then I include some bonus videos as well. So it's actually more than 5 videos. Um, but this is part 3 where we talk about the vicious cycle of narcissistic abuse. If for some reason you're hearing this video somewhere else and you have not purchased the 5 video series and you do not know me or what the Trauma Recovery Room is about, I'll briefly go over who I am, what I do, and where the Trauma Recovery Room came from. My name is Tanya K. Austin, better known as Coach Tanya. I am the founder of the Trauma Recovery Room, which is a safe haven for those who have experienced emotional trauma in their past and are struggling with overcoming the emotional barriers that are attached with it. So I created the Trauma Recovery Room out of my own search for recovery from trauma, from my own childhood experiences, and actually going through a narcissistically abusive marriage where I recently divorced a little about 6 months ago. So I want to congratulate myself for that. And for those of you who are either in a relationship and are trying to get out, that's what this series is for. This video and this program is going to be perfectly beneficial to you. And for those who have just recently gotten out, it's going to be just as beneficial because it covers the very beginning of the stages, which is what I'm going to talk about today, all the way through to the ending stage of when you are no longer a victim of their demise, but a survivor for your life. So I grew up with a traumatic childhood, very emotionally traumatizing, where very detached, poor trauma, poor connections, very distant and non-loving and emotionally drained with my family and growing up. So I grew up believing that emotional trauma was okay, physical trauma was okay. I didn't grow up seeing violence, but I grew up hearing about it, and I started very early in my dating world with my very first relationship being physically abusive. But anyway, going through the relationship, the marriage with the toxic individual with narcissism, it kind of threw me aback. And I knew, and I'm going to talk about that today, my subconscious mind knew, which is our soul, it knew that the relationship wasn't right. So I had to dig deep. And in my search to fix him, so to speak, I found the tips and tools that I needed to fix myself. So on that path of trying to repair my marriage and to get things right, I actually stumbled across narcissism, understanding it, growing from it myself, and then developing the Trauma Recovery Room because I didn't really have anywhere to go to get the information that I needed to wiggle through this relationship and to understand it. So I had to find it myself. And in that search, I developed this company because I knew that it would be a place for people like me, like you, for people who are going through traumatic relationships, continuing the cycle of experiencing trauma in their childhood. So that's pretty much who I am. That's pretty much what I do. I am a spiritual life coach, an intuitive healer. So I do spiritual tarot card readings, as well as a trauma recovery coach and a narcissistic abuse recovery coach, as well as a mindset coach. So I help people to change their minds about their past lives and to rewrite their stories, to see a different version of themselves so that they can operate from their highest capacity and to uncover and unpeel or unveil the layers of them true selves so that you can really know and walk into your true purpose and know who you really are and live out that purpose. So today we're going to talk about the vicious cycle of narcissistic abuse. So I hope you have your pen and paper because we are going to explore a lot of areas right now. This video is not going to be long, but it's not going to be short either. So I hope that you're prepared to get through this. So the first part of the narcissistic abuse cycle is when the narcissist meets you and they size you up. I can actually look back at my experience and I can actually remember our first conversation where something didn't seem right, but I ignored those tingles within inside of me or that red flag, which he definitely displayed to me. And I took it as something different, which was my fault. And we're going to talk about all that briefly. So, when the narcissist first meets you, they size you up. They determine from your body language, they determine your attitude, listening to you before they even approach you. Oftentimes, they may spot you out or already know you before you've known them, and they've paid attention and it's something about you. It could be that you're pretty, it could be that you're smart, it could be that you're a certain size that they like, but whatever it is that they were attracted to you, their goal is to study you, to see if you can be their next prey. And when I say prey, I definitely mean that narcissists are emotional vampires and they will suck the soul out of you. That's their purpose, that's their goal. They want to uh, gain total and complete control over your mind. And you do know that your soul is your subconscious mind. Excuse me. And with your soul being your subconscious mind, that is why I call them soul suckers. They will definitely suck the soul out of you because they know that that soul, that subconscious part of your mind, is what's fighting against them. And we're going to talk about all that later. So, in the beginning, they meet you, they size you up, they get all the information they need to use against you later. So, in their study and they're listening for cues of potential abuse, they've decided in their studying what mask to put on with you. They've determined just from their conversation what role they're going to play in your life. So it's very careful that we be very careful with the narcissist. So when you're first meeting somebody, and this is for those of you who are out of the relationship and dating again, if you can't recognize where your problem was, this definitely is going to help you. So be careful not to spill your entire life story to them. Don't even talk about your ex, because when a narcissist meets you, they want to size you up to see what sore spots you have that they can use later. And if it plays in with their ability to be able to do all of the things that they plan on doing, because they know who they are, they know what type of mate they are. They know what tip they're on. They know what things that they're doing or that they plan on doing, or they know they haven't learned a lesson from the previous relationship. They're just looking for somebody to replace the previous person that took and dealt with their bullshit, and they're trying to replace them with somebody new. So when a narcissist, in other video in the series where you talk about why they chose you, it's definitely not bragging when a narcissist chooses you. It's definitely not an accomplishment, because when they choose you, it's for serving idealistic and sadistic purpose that they already have premeditated in their mind. Narcissists very rarely will approach somebody because they want to get to know them and they just want to love them and receive the love that that other person has, because they don't know how to. And enough, I do believe that enough broken relationships will get them to a place where they feel defeated in their approach to relationships and change their mind. But who knows? I don't know. So that first part of the cycle is when they first meet you and they size you up. After they've done that, they've made their determination on whether you are eligible to go to the next round of their level of bullshit. And this is where number two comes in. They start to idealize you. This is the idealization phase. This is where they put you on this super duper high pedestal and they make you way greater than what you even presented to them. They do this so that they can test your self esteem radar and to see how low your self esteem is, because the greater you appreciate the over fascination that they're giving you, they know that they're feeling that empty void that's inside of you. So the more that you receive that, the more they know that you are in that deep of trouble spiritually and mentally and emotionally, that when they feel that hole, they know that you will feel that feeling with their quote unquote love. It'll be a representation of how much they love you. So they know in the back of their minds that this is going to help them seal the deal of getting you in their grips. So this is where they hype you up uh, to test your self-esteem. They overly thrill you with excitement. They just go way above and beyond. And again, this is why it's so important to just, when you're meeting somebody, to just sit back and just listen to them. Talk about yourself in areas that aren't in unhealthy manners or situations that you've experienced in your life that don't lead to a long story of how it happened and it traumatized you. But keep it cordial when you meet people and allow them to open themselves up and to speak to you and tell you what they're going through. So if you meet somebody and they're opening up and they're telling you all about themselves, it's either two things: either one, they're screaming for help, or two, they don't care. They've gotten over the situation and they're able to talk about it as if it's a normal part of their life, because ultimately it is. The things that we experience in our past are definitely parts of our lives that shape and form us into becoming better people. Those things that we experience that are not good feeling to us, those traumatic experiences, those losses that really hurt us, we're not supposed to allow them to define who we are, but to shape and mold us and to guide us into being something better, so that we don't have to continue to experience that thing again. So in the idealization phase, this is where they put you on top of this false perfect pedestal and create this overhype about not only you, but for themselves. It makes them look just as good in your eyes because, again, they fill that black hole. You see them as your Lord and your Savior. You begin to emotionally equate them as a God walking on earth for you. You definitely have this ideal that they are the perfect person. And the key phrase in this particular phase is when they start revving you up, because they're a narcissist is looking for this key phrase. Where have you been all my life? And in the idealization phase, they want to bombard you with these false negative, or excuse me, false positive images of themselves by showing how good you are. So they're showing you that they can support you. They do love you. They do see you. They do all of those things that you told them in other places of your life with previous relationships didn't give you. They're going to fill all of those holes because they know that you're lacking in those areas. And the more information you give them in the beginning part, the more of the idealization they're going to pump into you, because they want you to feel like they are the perfect person, because this is where they begin to put their grips and their claws into you. They know you become serious with your thoughts, but they know that their thoughts are just some bullshit that they're saying to get you into their grips. And they know that when they idealize you to a maximum level, you're going to soak it all up, because remember, they know that you haven't been getting this. So, all of the things that you dream about, all of the things that you desire that were robbed from you before, the narcissist is going to go extra hard in making sure they fill those voids, because they want someone that is weak minded or weak spirited or weak hearted. And no offense, not to sound harsh, but that's exactly what it is. Because when you soak up a false representative of someone, and it becomes so easily to soak it up because you've never heard it before, or it's been a long time and you're starving for it, then you are desperate and you want that attention, and the narcissist can smell it. They know all of that when they size you up in the beginning. So all of this happens quickly. And it happens quickly for two reasons. One, so they cannot lose momentum by revealing their true self. So the narcissist doesn't want you to see the real them, because it is not going to take long. When they get you in their grips, they're going to start releasing that false mask. They're going to start peeling back that false mask. And number two, so they can get a lock on you early. They want you to be so fascinated with them that you won't go anywhere. They want you to put them first, and they want you to explore nothing else but them, because they want to have you in a position where they are totally and completely able to manipulate you and to control you and your mind. So they are definitely feeding your mind, the insecure parts of your mind, the fearful parts of your mind, the worry parts of your mind, the neglected parts of your mind. They're feeding all of that to you in this idealization phase so that they can guarantee and put you on lock that you will not go anywhere. Number three, they're going to love bomb you. They're going to bombard you with all of this love. And this plays in perfectly with the idealization phase. So they're putting you on this highest pedestal and they're going to treat you like the queen and the goddess or king or god that you really are, because you really are that. And they actually do know that. That's why they picked you. And it's kind of tricky how a narcissist thinks. They pick someone to either A, continue off with the spoiling that they had as a kid, or B, to repay the debt of being tortured as a kid. So you're chosen for two reasons. And I talk about that in my last video, uh, why a narcissist chose you. But in the love bombing phase, this is when them being perfect is presented. This is where they are putting on that mask or playing that role of the perfect man or woman for you. Because again, they've heard what it is that you lack in and you need in, that you're starving in. So they're going to play that role. So if you were not protected as a kid, they're going to act like they're very protective. If you weren't provided for as a growing up, or you grew up poor or whatever, and they have money, they're going to shower you with money. They're trying to manipulate your mind so bad so that when you do realize what they are, it'll be difficult and challenging for you to leave. So because their illness gives them the okay to go ahead and portray this role, they play it to a T. They just do it to get in your mind and to gain control of it, because they know that you are starving for that affection. They know that you are starving for that attention. They know that you are starving for that love, the validation, and the acceptance. And because they've heard your traumatic stories, those stories were scripts for them on how to play a part in your life. And the thing about narcissism is, if you study them and find out what they're all about, you begin to get angry and you get offended over why they actually chose you or why you're in my life. And then you can fall into the trap, which I definitely help you work through that, because I fell through it myself. You fall through the trap where you're angry with yourself because you allow this fool to come into your life and to disrupt everything, although it is a blessing behind the relationship. And if you can look at it from a much more positive perspective and the actual purpose that it is, which is the narcissist was simply a conduit for your emotions your emotions manifested in a physical form, and the narcissist represented that physical form. So they were just a conduit that was created, that manifested in a physical form for the faults that were represented in your mind. So somewhere in your life, you didn't feel loved or worthy, or you felt like you had to chase because of something that you experienced in your childhood. The narcissist is a representation. That's why they're a mirror image of you. They are a direct representation of that thing which you run from all of your life. And since it's coming to the forefront of your mind, and it may have been something that triggered it for coming out, the universe is responding to that because it's part of your thoughts. It's part of your feeling, and the energy that you're putting into the universe is that negative energy, which ultimately means your soul is telling you it's time for you to release it all. And that's what the narcissist represents, you releasing all of that which hurt you in your past. So in the love bombing phase, again, those stories that you tell them, the voids that you have and the traumas that you've experienced, those are scripts for a narcissist, which is why it's very careful for us not to indulge so much about ourselves, and just, again, keep it on a cordial level. Keep it on day-to-day experiences, things at work, and the weather, and things like that. Just capture their essence and ask questions about life experiences, and then see where they've grown and learned, instead of just blabbering and talking about your past, because that definitely gives someone that is a narcissist total permission to move forward in using you as their next form of prey. So in the love bombarding phase is where you are in that dreamlike phase. And this is where the narcissist definitely, it's, this is where they put their claws into you. Let me put it like that. This is where they get you. And again, it's quickly. It could and if you look back at your narcissistically abusive relationship, how long did it take for you to fall in love with them? It didn't take long. They were perfect gentlemen or perfect women. They did everything right. They were just so sweet and so romantic and everything. They were just perfect. They were just perfect. And they had you in that dreamlike false state so that you can feel for them what it is that you feel. And when it is that you discover the true them, it'll be difficult for you to break through. So the narcs are again soul sucking vampires. Their job is to gain control of your mind. But the four parts not working together, and those four parts being your unconscious mind, which is the here and now, excuse me, the conscious mind. Let me start from there. The conscious mind, which is what you see right now, the here and now, what you consciously are aware of, those things that you are aware of right now in the present. The subconscious mind, which is your soul, which is the part of you that knows what's best for you, the part of you that's trying to lead you to your destiny, the part of you that's really connected to the universe and to God. Then you have the unconscious mind, which is the layer of your mind where all of the things that happen to you are dumped into there and they shape and mold your systems of belief. In the subconscious mind, your thoughts and behaviors are controlled by experiences that you've gone through, caused from the unconscious mindset. Because when you think certain ways, those experiences are manifested and you go through those things. So the subconscious mind tells you how to think and feel, and it gives you that friction where you're not feeling something. Like I said in the beginning of my relationship, I knew some things weren't right. That was my subconscious mind. But I was debating it with my unconscious mind and conscious mind, because the conscious mind was telling me that, oh, he was fine and he was perfect and everything. The unconscious mind was, oh, he's feeding me all these things that I really need. The subconscious mind is something ain't right with this cat. And then you have the superconscious mind, which is the godlike sense of your mind, where you connect totally and you trust yourself and you trust the universe and you're connected with the universe and you're guided that way. So when those four parts are not working together, the ideal that the narcissist is the one is clicking in the love bombing stage. This is where you again are captured into their net and their claws are sucked into you. And this is the beginning of them moving on to the next part of the cycle. Now, the next part is when they begin to bombard you with love and it becomes so imaginary, it becomes so false that they start to gaslight you. You know, they start to do things that are introducing the real them. So now that they know that they have your mind gone and you are just oblivious to everything that they're doing, this is when they start to do their little tricks and innuendos like the gaslighting and I'm sorry, my brain is freezing right now. They gaslight you and they do other things that take you away from the reality of who they really are. You know what I mean? So this is where their golden ticket is given to them. Because at this point, they know that it's going to be difficult and challenging for you to leave. They know that. So when they do the things that they do, they go on campaign smears about you. They talk about you behind your back. Narcissists are very two-faced. They're very fake. They just get in where they can fit in. They do what they do that's necessary to make them be popular at the time. They desperately seek attention. They crave that gratification to where they get things because they want to feel superior over other people. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, they don't. They definitely have poor self images and very low self esteems, which is why they overcompensate in assholeism and narcissism to make up for you never finding out how they really feel. So they go to the extreme to cover up who they really are. So this is where they start to not only gaslight you, uh, they project their emotional feelings onto you. They start to isolate you from others. They may even start to become abusive. They want to keep you confused and stuck in limbo about the old person that at this point you're starting to want that old person back, because at this point they're actually physically changing right in front of you. They're acting different. They're not the same. They may even start cheating on you at this particular point because they want to uh, keep you from being able to move forward and away from them. But and at this point, they're definitely comfortable, all the way comfortable with you, and they know pretty much that since you have no loved ones or very poor relationships with your family, you won't reach out to them. They know that you love them and you don't want to see them in jail, so they'll do things and dare you to call the police. They start to just flip the script on you. They turn into total and complete jerks, total opposite of what they were. Because again, at this point, they know that they have your minds gone, and they know that at this point, your heart is involved, and that it's difficult for you to just up and leave. Even if you do break up, because definitely know that it takes 5, 6, 7 times for you to officially leave the relationship. So even if you do break up, they know that with that trauma bond and that poor attachment that you had in your childhood, and we'll talk about that too, that poor attachment that you had in your childhood, they know that they can use that to string you back along. So next you have where they again are getting bored with you. This is where I say that they just peel back that complete layer of the mask. Now this is them totally not caring about rules. They cross boundaries, they step on toes, they test you, they violate you, they're disrespectful, they're rude, they're whatever it is that their vice is going to be used against you at this particular point. This is where they again start to maybe want to discard you. This is where they begin to want to, if they're not at the discard phase yet, which is where they dump you and get rid of you, they're definitely tapping around other relationships, and they're definitely creating scenarios within your relationship to push you away. But yet they pull you back because a narcissist doesn't want you to leave. They just like the drama. They feed off of the drama, the back and forth, the fighting, the bickering, the belittling, the demeaning, the gaslighting, the trauma bonds, all of those things that keep you in that vicious cycle. The narcissist definitely uh, want you there. So they start to become mean and nasty. Their personality that they once had is gone. They no longer need to pretend with you because they're so deeply gripped, because you're so deeply gripped under their spell that they don't need to be fake with you anymore. They keep you stuck in the mind that they're a good person, and they just have issues, and they expect you to 100% accept and deal with those issues. Here they degrade you again, they cheat on you, they start campaign smears against you behind your back, they humiliate you, they become extremely abusive, and maybe even withdraw from you. So this is where the start of the cycle of the trauma bond kicks in. This is when the trauma you experienced prior to meeting them, which is ultimately the reason why you chose them in the first place, it's fed. So you chase the makeup part where things were good again, and you want to continue to be in that good phase. So whatever it takes for you to elevate your uh, experience with this particular person, you try to change, and this is where you probably are thinking it's your fault, and you're so desperate and you're crying, and this is the part where it hurts. This is the part where it hurts, because although they never really were good in the first place, you have in your mind that this person, that role that they played, is real. You have in your head that role that they played is real, so they attempt to keep you stuck chasing that old them when they know that they're never going to go back to that person. And that gives them plenty of time to be able to chase new people in their lives, and do things that have no regard to their relationship with you. So again, narcissists like the excitement, the drama. It feeds their low self-esteem to be chased and cried over and stalked and fought over, all feeding their desire to feel relevant and important. Because again, either a narcissist grew up very traumatic, or their families tortured them or treated them really bad, or they were just totally neglected and abused to the extreme level, or either they were overly spoiled and they felt entitled, because a lot of narcissists do feel entitled. They feel superior. They have a grandiose attitude about themselves. They think that you are beneath them, and they choose someone with a codependent relationship, people pleasing, low self esteem, because, or either they can even do powerful people and try to take them down, because they know that it's a, even though you're this big bad powerful person, they know that it's a part of you, because they know themselves it's a part of you that hates yourself, that's mad at yourself, that's hurt somewhere. And if they can get your big bad ass to double down to them, then they know that they've accomplished a mission. So a lot of times it's not just that you have low self-esteem. Sometimes it's an ego rush for them, because they want to pull down, because they may be, if it's a man, they may be angry at powerful women. Their mother may have been powerful, or aggressive women, or whatever it is that they feel like. And that's the narcissist that's out for revenge for being hurt. The narcissist that's overly spoiled is just the one that's feeling entitled. They feel like you're going to take over and finish whatever it is that their mommy left off on. And they really act like little kids. My ex-husband definitely, I was the mother. I would literally tell him the same things every day, like I was talking to my 8-year-old son. Like literally, I was teaching him how to be responsible, teaching him, which is ridiculous, because I didn't want a son. I already had one. I wanted a fucking husband. And he didn't need a mother, he needed a wife. And he really doesn't even need a wife, he needs some self-love. But anyway, that's a whole nother subject. So the narcissist, again, gets excited over the drama, and they continue to feed that cycle, and they continue to do things to irritate that part of the relationship. But this is why they choose savage ways to express that need. They're having that need to feel loved and accepted and all of that, but they choose a savage ass way to get it, because again, either they were tortured as kids or they feel privileged. So the way that they get it, they're taking it either way. I'm taking it because I never got it, or I'm taking it because I always got it and it belongs to me. I don't care about you. And that's how a narcissist feels. So next you have where your power comes in. This is the thing. Even though you may be in a situation, you may be in that relationship right now where you're at the point where they're degrading you and gaslighting you and doing all of these things, the trauma bonds are kicking in. You're trying to break up, and you keep going back, and you're trying to explore and figure out why. This is the part where your power comes in. This is where you begin to understand where you actually have the power in the relationship. You have the most power in the relationship, believe it or not, because once you expose the narcissist, they become like little babies quivering in a cradle, crying, waiting for their mama to bring them some ninny. That's exactly what they turn into, because remember, that's exactly what they are anyway. So when you expose a narcissist, and how do you expose a narcissist? When you expose a narcissist, you peel back that layer and let everybody see what they are. So how do you expose them? You learn and heal from your pain. You learn to do techniques like gray rock. And in this video series, I have that on there. Gray rock is when you literally turn into a gray rock and you give no fucks about what they're talking about, doing, or whatever. And that removes the drama, that removes the excitement, and it turns a narcissist off. This is where this part of the cycle where a lot of people don't even talk about. You have the power. You can definitely understand them. This is where you learn all of the information about them. This is where you figure out their weakness. This is where you figure out your weaknesses. This is where you gain a sense of who you are. And again, on my journey, I was trying to figure out ways to fix him. And when I learned about narcissism, I started to say, forget him, and start fixing myself. And that's where my power came in. I started to tap into my own insecurities, my own reason. I started to look at why I chose him. And once I started digging deep, I figured out all of that. And again, in the midst of all of that, I discovered the trauma recovery room. That's where I developed my business, because I knew that once I had his grips out of me, he had no more control and no more power. So I stripped that power from him and I gave it back to myself. And I did that by healing from my past pain. I did that from healing from my trauma. I healed my unconscious mind so that it could wake up and give me clarity, which is what my subconscious mind already knew. And that allowed my conscious mind to get on board, which ultimately took me to the super conscious mindset of where I knew who I was. I knew what I needed to do. I knew who he was. I felt the right emotions. I healed from my past pain, healed from the pain of him being in my life, forgave myself for choosing him, and found my purpose, walked in it, and moved on. And even though it's difficult to do many of these things, it's a simple process. And it's simple. Understanding the narcissist for who they really are is definitely your uh, what can I say? Your golden ticket to get through this relationship. And I know that some of you may have children with them, but there's still positive parenting even with the narcissist. There is a psychology, and I actually have a course for that if you're interested in that. There's a psychology that you have to go through and understand in co-parenting with a narcissistic ex-partner. At the time I wrote it, I didn't really know about narcissism as much, or I really didn't know about narcissism. So it's just titled co-parenting with an ex-partner. But now that I know that what he is, it's co-parenting with an ex-narcissist partner. And there are still ways for you to get around that. So there's no excuse for you to remain in that relationship when you know that it's not right for you. And because you get to the point where you elevate your mind and your super conscious or godlike way of thinking and connecting with the universal powers kick in, the narcissist becomes bold at this point, oftentimes discarding you and leaving you emotionally in a vegetative state. So, again, if you can get on top of that, if you can beat them, and even if they left you in that situation, you can still reverse that because all it takes is a simple click in your mindset that you have the power, that this is your life. If you understand that this is your life and they are only in your life because you allow them to be, they only have so much access to you because you set a standard of what they can do. I'm telling you, if you change that standard, even if you have that child, even if you're married, even in a relationship and you're trying to get out now, there is still something called boundaries that you can set. They are not going to like it. But if you want to get out of this relationship, or if you want to change the relationship, because you never know, your narcissist may not be as bad or as extreme as mine was, or others are on that psychopathic level. Yours may just be the milder version where it just takes a few shifts in behavior on you, just putting your foot up their ass or putting your foot down, and they can change. So it depends on the level. The relationship can be spared if it's not too toxic or abusive physically to where it's just too damaging. And if the narcissist is willing to actually get help, then that's different. But I'm talking about if you're just ready to get out, you know, this fool is not about to change and you want to change and you want to get out. That's what I'm talking about. You can definitely have that mindset before they get you there. Gain your power, gain your strength. Know that just because they've done whatever it is that they've done, that does not define you. It does not determine your worth. It does not take away from your worth. They are who they are, and you are who you are. And all it takes is for you to realize that all you need to do is heal from your pain. Open your eyes are closed. That's all. And the narcissist knows that, and they are leading you blindly to damnation. So it's important that you empower yourself with things like this course, things like learning about narcissism and learning about yourself. Your biggest defeat against a narcissist is to heal from your pain. Because when your secret is revealed about the narcissist through your healing, they don't have any more power over you. And at that point, you kill the game with them. This is where you definitely show your superpowers with them. And they know that they fucked up and they know that you have gotten over them. Because when a narcissist knows that you've gotten over them, they definitely feel defeated. So don't you want them to be in that position, rather you being in that position. And again, if you're already in that situation where you're down in the dumps and they've left you, know that this is the best place for you to be right now. And it may seem hard and painful right now, but if you open your eyes to the truth of who you really are and who they really were, you will get through. It does not, if you've been with them for 5 years, it does not take 5 years for you to get over them. It takes a decision for you in your mind to actively and consciously start digging deep into that unconscious mindset, to wake up that superconscious mind and connect it with the subconscious mind. You definitely have to do the work. You definitely have to invest in yourself. You definitely have to change your mindset, because it's all about what's in your mind. That's all it is. So the fact that a narcissist seek those that they can manipulate emotionally to keep from being emotionally manipulated themselves. A narcissist knows that this is their defense mechanism. They pretty much have the attitude, I'm gonna hurt you before you hurt me. And what you can do before you get to this point is know this about them already. Prepare yourself mentally. So if you are in that relationship and you're preparing to leave, just change your mind. Continue through this series of videos and understand the things that must take place in order for you to fully cleanse yourself of this person. Because again, if you don't energetically release yourself from them, it doesn't matter how far you get away from them physically. Either they'll come back because their purpose hasn't been served, or another narcissist will simply replace them. So, knowing that they are desperate for real love, which is why they pick certain types of people uh, in the first place. And again, it's to get the love they require and have someone to easily dump their pain on without consequences. That's why a narcissist uh, picks a certain person. So when you step into the twisted mind of a narc to start to get angry, you start to get angry at why they even decided to fuck with you in the first place, because their original goal with you is to have some, either A, pay back all the torture they took as a child, or B, finish spoiling them where they were being spoiled, or where it left off at. So the discard can definitely be reversed. If you could be the one to end the relationship, would you do it? And it's definitely putting you in an extra power position, which will fuck the narcissist head up, because they are definitely not expecting that. So being prepared and knowing what your defense mechanism is, which is healing from your pain, changing your mind even about them, seeing them as just something that was energetically produced for you to slay, period. King David, that's your Goliath. Your Goliath is the fact that you need to learn to love yourself. You need to know that there's better out there for you. You need to know that you are worthy of better. You need to know subconsciously, unconsciously, consciously, and superconsciously that God created you for a greater purpose than being stuck in a relationship where somebody is whooping your ass and calling you out your name and cheating on you or treating you like shit. Period. Period. God did not create you for that. He didn't create me for that. And eventually, once I tapped into myself, I realized that. And I had to see for myself. Because consciously, I was a diva and I was the shit. You couldn't tell me nothing. I just knew this man loved me and blah, blah, blah. But unconsciously, I was a broken little girl. And he consciously saw that. The narcissist can consciously read a codependent's unconscious mind, period. He read that. They know that. She knows that. He knows that. They know that. They know. They know that they are being energetically drawn to you for a reason. For them, their reason is satanic, evil, not right, not cool. Yours, it's the same way, as just disguise. It looks more angelic, but yours is satanic as well, because you're looking for them to fill voids that they cannot feel. So either way, both the codependent and the narcissist are on, there are two aspects on the same spectrum. One is just outwardly expressed, and the other is inwardly, and that spectrum is anger. The narcissist is angry for their childhood, the empath or the codependent is as well. The narcissist directs it outwardly, which is why they treat people a certain way. The empath or the codependent directs their anger inwardly, which is why they allow certain things. The empath or the codependent likes to fix and heal people. The narcissists like to fuck up and hurt people. So it's a vicious cycle that you both, it's like a dog chasing its tail. You both are serving each other, which is why it's difficult for you to break that trauma bond. And the trauma bond is, again, the bond that you had with your caregivers growing up. It was either secure and healthy, and you had a healthy attachment, or it was either unhealthy and insecure, which creates insecurities in you, which later create the situations that you face with narcissistic people, because those insecurities within you are being energetically fed into the universe, and they're being physically manifested in the form of your man or your woman that's a narcissist, or all the other ones before them. And if you don't get through this, it's going to be in the physical form of manifestation of the future narcissist to come. So this is the vicious cycle of narcissistic abuse. I hope this video helped you. I am going to actually attach a worksheet for this particular video. So there are going to be some shadow work questions that you're going to have to answer in order for you to see what particular cycle, part of the cycle you're in, and what steps you can take afterward. So thank you for this. Thank you for joining this program once again. I hope that it is beneficial for you. It is definitely therapy for myself, releasing this and teaching other people to get through the same thing that I've gone through. So I definitely appreciate the experience of being able to present this to you. So that's it for this video. I will see you guys on the next. Bye.